Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. We're doing another episode here of frequently asked questions that come on my channel's comment section. Some of them have a broad range of interest and go beyond just what the individual is asking. So I thought we would share with you some other insights, some additional information, and share with you the answers to some questions that were asked that maybe you didn't have a chance to see. Before I begin, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel if you like these kinds of videos. If you like to learn about fishing and fishing reels and the manufacturer, the common types of reels that there are, how they're used, when they're used, and just generally how to repair reels, which is usually the videos you will find on my channel in terms of how to take apart and service. But every now and then we'll stop, take a breath, and we'll answer some questions that have broad interest. So let's get started. The first one is actually a question about manufacturing. They say, I have some Penn reels that are older that have replaceable drag stacks where you don't need to remove the side plate. This is a Penn 9.0. You can see on the inside of this a very large ring, probably about the size of a US $half. And if you have this type of an assembly, which are the earlier Penn reels, you can remove the handle, the star adjuster, the collar, and then just invert the reel, kind of whack it like that, and that whole drag stack will come out. So you don't need to remove the side plate by taking all the screws off in order to service the drag stack itself. And those were common on the bigger reels, the 4.0s, 6.0s, 8, 9.0s, and so on, because, well, it's quite an effort, and those drag washers do wear from time to time. Well, here's a bigger one here. And this is a newer technology, and you can see we don't have that large metal ring behind that. And if you have one of these reels, this happens to be a Penn 49, the Mariner series, right? Yep, the 49 with the etched side plate. Even though this is an old reel, it does not have that collar in it that would enable you to service the drags without removing the side plate. So, quick tip if you're out and about shopping, and you're wondering about the age of a particular reel, the ones that have the drag stacks that can be removed by simply taking off the star adjuster and the handle, well, those are older reels. The ones that have the closed center, those are newer reels. But other than that, both reels work particularly fine. Okay, David sends in a question. He says, what handle nut wrench is needed for a particular model of 155 Penn? It's kind of along the lines of what we were just saying before. There's a variety. Anybody who purchased that 155 and most of the other reels that are in that smaller inshore category probably got this Penn reels wrench with it. And this is the handle nut wrench for the majority of the smaller sized reels. It includes the 155. It also includes the Long Beach series, the Jigmaster series, the Monofil series, the Penn Pier series, and the like. The smaller handle nut belongs to the Penn 9 or the 109 series, the smaller ones. However, there are larger handle nuts, right? This one is an Allen Tanny tool. It's an aftermarket tool. It's a Penn wrench. And as you can see, the lower or the smaller one sizes up with the one on the wrench. When you get into the 4.0s, the 6.0 Senators, and a lot of the modern ones, interestingly enough, the Squall, the Fathom, and the like, they're using the bigger handle nut on those. There is a relatively inexpensive tool that's out there that kind of covers a whole bunch of nuts. But again, this one here and this one, I believe, are the two. Well, this one is the Penn. This one I think might be a Daiwa. This one is the larger Penn. Might be a Shimano in there. I don't know. But at any rate, there are various solutions to the nut. So if you have the 155 Beachmaster, which was the question that was asked, it is the smaller size on the traditional nut that is supplied by Penn reels. Second one came in and said, I've got a bunch of reels that I get. I have been on a buying spree and buy some older antique boxes that have a lot of reels in it. It seems every one that I come across from a Penn has a cracked side plate. This is a shame. This is a very early Penn. It's the Penn Seagate. It isn't even a number on it, so it's probably pre-war. And yes, it does have that cracked side plate on it. Why is that? Well, these were made by Penn with Bakelite side plates. Bakelite is a form of a plastic. It's unprotected on the outside. You saw that reel that I just showed before that had the stainless steel ring on the outside as an extra layer of protection. This one does not. And in the Seagate lineup, or particularly in the most frequent one, tends to be a Penn Long Beach. Well, they get dropped. They get hit against a rail. Whatever it is, they're pretty fragile pieces, and that's the number one failure across the Penn line in terms of an older reel. You will find them with cracked side plates. What can you do? If you're good enough about it and you have a clean break like this one, you can remove this from the reel. You can clean it up, epoxy it, and it will hold. That'll enable you to give the reel a second chance and take it fishing. However, the value of the reel from a collectible standpoint is marginalized because of that broken side plate. So if you're collecting them, find a replacement side plate. If you simply want to take it fishing, well, just go do that. Next one that comes in, it's a clarification or in-depth piece on pit reels. Now, we had shown, I believe, on that one that what we were looking at the time, I believe, was the Penn Longcast, which was a new reel. But this one is an older one. This is a Daiwa SS 9000. It's a Tournament Million Max. This one's got its issues. You can hear that, and what I believe that is this rubber little guide here. It should be running in the track of that spool, and I just think it's come out of the spool track or whatever, because it only happens on the downstroke of this thing. But at any rate, you can see it's a very large reel, high capacity, but look at that spool. It's very tapered and long as opposed to, well, some of the others that are just kind of more compact. And I'm going to read this one verbatim from Trevor. It says, they were called pit reels because in many cases, the coarse fisheries, especially in England, were formed from disused gravel pits that were no longer working, and they became filled with water. Many of them were stocked with coarse fish. By coarse fish, he means non-game fish like carp and bream, and I always consider these carp reels when I talk about that. He said the reels have much wider spools that enable further casting, better line lay, less bunching of the line, and prior to that, most of them were the narrow ones vertically, and well, they were just more difficult to fish with. As the fish ran, the drag increased, and unless you constantly adjusted the drag for the narrow spool, which is valid in terms of a point, then you didn't have that equal fight. So what happens here is you have a narrower stack on your spool. You have more of a constant drag. Why is that important? Remember, on the older ones, the narrow spools, you got an arbor back here. So if that spool is turning faster as it gets less or gets nearer to the arbor than it is when it's turning out here, that does affect the drag performance. So I'd like to thank him for that. It's also called that because pit reels are primarily designed for the large fish. They became popular in the U.S. and for shore fishing for, he says, smooth hound and bass. So they cast better, they handle the drag better, they cast longer because of that design of the reel, and well, they're very popular in the gravel pits because of that. So thank you to Trevor for giving us that additional information. I appreciate learning about these things, how they're used, and how they're used on a worldwide basis, not just here. This one's kind of a unique one. I found it attached to a rod. Didn't even know what I had at the time. Wish I could figure this one out. And you know, this one's got a lot of writing in Japanese on it, so I'm almost wondering if this was ever sold in the U.S. But again, anybody has any more information about the SS9000, the Million Max Tournament, and what that annoying sound is, I guess what I could do is just get some penetrating oil and spray it. It's got one of those kind of squeaky wheel, gets the service kind of answers to it. So thank you for that. All right, we have another one here that came in and says, I have a Takota, I don't have that here. I have a Takota 300. I was wondering if you had any experience replacing the clutch lever. What's the clutch lever? It's this, right? It's the free spool clutch release on that. And I got to tell you, just as much as the Penn wheels had this major design flaw, if you will, in terms of having cracked side plates, the issue with the Takota 300 and most of the Takotas is in the way they designed the internal clutch for this. It has a plastic cam in there. It's kind of oblong as opposed to circular. And boy, if that doesn't crack more times than I care to admit. So I've had a lot of experience in working that clutch lever. And well, it's just unfortunate that it's a design issue. Probably has nothing to do with you. Another tip that came in, we've always been talking about these small screw issues that I have. And a fellow said, here's a way to do this. Get masking tape. I don't have masking tape. Boy, I'm a poor host today. Let's just say it's a small screw that fits on this. Get masking tape, poke it over the top of that, put your screw on there, and then back the masking tape up to the head of the screw. That masking tape will hold that head of the screw and your screwdriver as you get it started. Thank you for that tip. Really appreciate it. One more here. We had a question on the last episode that I did of the questions and answers that asked about the thumb bar release. And is it a part that can be replaced? And the answer was no, you had to replace the whole frame. Well, this one comes with double warning. The question is, on a Penn Warfare. Now, the Penn Warfare is a lower entry-level conventional reel, level line reel that Penn puts out. It was part of you had the Warfare, the Defiance, and the Rival, and I hated all of them. On the Warfare in particular, you can see this one has rivets on it. This is an Abu. But the Warfare reel seat is also riveted. And the question was, is there any way that you find replacement footings for the Warfare reel? The answer is no. You have to buy, like this one, you have to buy the whole frame. Problem is that the Warfare frames are no longer available. So you're one and done with a Penn Warfare if you break that reel foot off. Something to consider when you're buying it. Some reasons why, in many cases, the reels are less expensive. They don't use a frame that's attached with a replaceable reel seat. In the Warfare's case, they are kind of riveted on there. If those rivets pop, you're out of luck. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the episode on questions. If you have more questions, leave them in the comments section. If you want to learn more about a particular thing, leave that in the comments section. I do try to poll on a regular basis questions that have been asked and provide the answers where I can to popular questions and popular things that folks want to know about. So I want to take a moment and thank you for doing that, for leaving your questions in there, for helping to keep the channel vibrant. I also want to take a moment to thank our first responders for everything it is that they do. They're heroes of mine. I never get tired of thanking them, and we'll take this opportunity to do it again. Well, that's another episode of Questions. I want to thank you for watching. I want to wish everybody a great day. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle.